Who comes here?
The Watcher of the Seals, the Flame of Tarvalin, the Amerlin,
Why should we watch?
for the hope of humankind.
Against what do we guard?
Shadow at
How long shall we guard?
from rising sun to rising sun, so long the wheel of time turns.
The Black Tower offers bread and salt and welcome. Welcome is the Amerlin seat, for here is the watch kept, here is the pact maintained. Welcome.
I offer thanks for your welcome, my son. Let's do a shot, bitches.
Shots.
Yeah!
Ding dong.
Ah, hello.
Fuck. God damn.
Okay.
That was fucking delicious.
Fucking Jägermeister after red wine is,
Oh man,
yeah.
that's a bad combo.
Yeah.
Oh, I chose the Jack Daniel's cider since it's kind of festive and Christmas just passed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is festive as hell, man. I
Very
approve.
festive.
Look at me. This is about the extent of my holiday spirit.
Look at
Hey,
you.
Pretty festive for me. Ring a ding ding. Okay.
Oh man. So I'm super stoked. We've been working on this for about a month or so, waiting for it to come around.
Mhm.
For
So-
those of you who don't know what we're talking about and are confused, you haven't been paying attention. And we at the Black Tower, Aaron and Andrew, are welcoming to join us Jen and Jess from the White Tower, A Wheel of Time podcast. We are doing a joint holiday episode that has nothing to do with the holidays.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
It's a non-denominational, non-family fun time.
Right.
So it's adult-oriented, and for the holiday special, we're pretty much going to give thanks to you, our listeners, and be answering listener questions which you've been submitting. So thank you.
And we're
for
going to be
that.
spoiling the shit out of everything.
Everything spoilerific.
Like
Yes.
every
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Spoilers all the way up to the end, and we'll probably spoil some fan theories too.
So
Spoilers abound.
I'm trying to let this flow off the seat of my pants. I told the Black Terror podcast beforehand. No, I'm just gonna be real, straight up.
That's
So
the phrasing was good.
Yeah, that's about it.
I have seen all of your questions, and they're freaking amazing. So every single thing you submitted, I have visually seen, but I haven't really prepared my answers. So I'm gonna let the Black Tower just ask them, and I don't know what they're going to say. So what you're hearing, listeners, is absolutely pretty much just candid as possible. And you're just going to hear our responses as we get drunker and drunker throughout the episode. So
Yeah, I haven't
this is
looked
gonna
at
be
fuck
really
all,
fun.
so
But we know the book, so let's get cracking. We're as ready as we'll ever be.
crack-a-lack.
Yeah. All right. Aaron, you want to ask the first one?
Yeah, I thought we could start with a question that came in from the Dragon Reborn 1689 on our Discord channel.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a more question to each of us rather than something about the books, but it's what type of impact has the series made on your life, and when did you first start reading the series? He also asked for favorite book, character, how many rereads have you had? You can answer as much of that as you want or little, but just kind of how the series has impacted you and how you see it and where are you right now.
You want to go first, Jen?
Yeah, I'll go first. Why not? So
Get it.
here I am. So I first read the series about 10 years ago. I'm in my second reread right now. I found out about the books. I discussed this in our White Tower podcast episode because I worked at a used bookstore and I was enthralled with the cover of these adventurers just kind of journeying at night with all these bats and shit in the background of the Eye of the World. And I was like, this sounds like, why the hell are these people running from something in the dark ass of night, like an adventuring party? This is cool. So I'll start reading it. My favorite male character is Lan. My favorite female character is Nynaeve. The impacts these books have had on me, oddly enough, this is gonna sound crazy, but obviously the first I think everyone can relate to is world building and depth of character. Like for these books that I love fantasy for, that's all I had read for years. And because there's 14 books and so many words in each book, I really didn't know how much you could delve into this fucking world. Like, Robert Jordan surpasses everyone for good reason. And what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing I got off the books, oddly enough, is how much I wanted to eat the bread and cheese and shit they discuss, like food in the tavern. Like, when they talk about like going, like they're talking about like all the different meat pies and like cheese and bread and shit. Like, most of the time I was like alone. The books were the only thing I had in this little room I was renting at the time. As the only English speaker in this house for 2 years, and that was my entertainment at this time 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my god. So I would like sneak out into the kitchen like almost every time food was discussed in one of these books, and like just start eating bread with cheese, like straight up, and then go back to reading. So it wreaked my diet there for about a year, but other than that, these books have been amazingly influential. So yeah, I'll pass the baton. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the question? No.
Who's your favorite character? What's your reread status? Like, how these books influence you?
Yeah, I would, starting with the influence, I think that the really most sort of large influence is the fact that I am now sitting here recording a podcast with 3 other people purely because of this book, or these books. For those of you who've listened to our podcast before, you will probably know this, but Black Tower listeners probably won't. When I started reading The Wheel of Time back in like 2006 or 2007. I made it all the way through to like the slog in Winter's Heart, and then abandon it until, let's see, I'm going to say late December 2017, early January 2018, like the beginning of this year. Started over and yeeted through the entire thing. I was done by March. So I went quick. And so that was my first complete read through all the way through. When I was finished, I had a lot of thoughts and feelings about the ending of the book. And so I, in desperation, reached out into the ether of Twitter and said, I just finished reading The Wheel of Time and I need a processing partner. And like a miracle that I needed, the universe provided, and Jen appeared and was like, bitch, let's talk. And so then we did. And the rest is history. We became friends. And then I was like, hey, a podcast would be fun. And she's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And like a week later, we recorded our first episode. So I think that's probably the biggest impact. It's exposed me to a lot of really amazing people and amazing podcasters, and it's been a lot of fun. That also is my number of reads and my reread status. Favorite characters. I think that Lana's probably my favorite. Well, I am very fond of Bill Dolman. He might be my favorite. Either that or Gareth Bryan.
Why Doman?
I don't know, because he's just like,
I like his accent.
Fucking pirate captain, doesn't give a fuck. Like, leans into the whole Shanshan thing, like gets himself a Shanshan wife. Just like, he's like, I don't give a fuck, as long as I can be on a fucking boat, I'm good. Let's jam, roll. Like,
I did the shittiest Doman accent.
It was very good. It was.
I loved it.
And I loved every part of it. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Favorite female character? Probably Egwene. I mean, I don't approve of her whole like Gawain decision, because fuck that guy. But overall, I think that she has the most sort of sass, and I feel like her character growth in particular was really striking. She came a really long way from the like 16-year-old from Emmons Field to the fucking Amerlin seat, sacrificing herself, like rediscovering the weave for the literal flame of Tarvalin. Like, fuck me, that was amazing. So yeah, I have to go with Egwene for a favorite female character. I think that's all I've got. You're up,
All
boys.
right. I'll go next then. So I started reading the series at the recommendation of a family friend. Just told him that I was, I'd finished the Harry Potter series at the time. I wanted to find another series to read, and he handed me the first book. And about 3 days later, I brought it back to him asking for the next one.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Not fucking-
it became a thing. Yeah. It became a thing that every time I only slowed down reading whenever I wasn't down at my grandma's, because that was the closest place to him. But every time I came down, I would at least try to read one book and have another one to take and read until my next trip. Until like the last three. Those I bought off of like Google Play and read through them. And still kept like powering through and was super pissed when I was like, shit, I just read all the books. I haven't read New Spring yet though.
Oh, it's really good.
It's
Yeah,
good.
I wish it
going
was
to.
longer. I wish it was longer, but it's really
yeah. I like my
Yeah.
favorite part is how Land and Moraine meet, definitely.
good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I'm going to read it, but I'm going to read it after my current reread where I'm a little over halfway through Fires of Heaven, which I love because my favorite scene from the entire series is in Fires of Heaven. And that's because of my favorite character. Hands down, favorite character, Avienda. Hands down.
Oh, good one. Good.
Avienda is a
Yeah,
bad
that's a good
bitch.
choice.
Yeah,
Oh.
I like her.
I have a book
Bad, bad,
crush on
bad.
Avienda.
Who doesn't?
I have a crush on Avienda, okay?
Right?
Me too.
Avienda can fucking get it.
Yeah.
See, if I had to choose a favorite male character, that's a tough one. Honestly, Matt's probably my favorite male character. I just think the dude's funny. He's clever.
I love him.
He's a little bit of, he's a little shit too. So
Yeah, Dagger Matt is not ideal.
yeah.
Fucking dagger.
Favorite book. Yeah. Favorite book then of course would for me be Fires of Heaven. I really like Fires of Heaven. I actually really enjoyed A Memory of Light as well. They're probably about equal. So yeah, I think that's all from me.
I guess that means it's my turn.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We never introduced ourselves.
Go for it.
I'm Jess, your Amaryllin seat.
And I'm Jen, your keeper of the Chronicles.
Welcome. I'm Aaron,
And I'm Andrew.
and we're the Black Tower.
Now we got that sorted. Sorry. I was just like, oh shit.
Now that that's all done, the impact that the series has made is that we started this podcast. This is the biggest thing that's come out of reading it for myself. I think Andrew shared a little bit of how he wanted to start this podcast. He had been talking to you guys. I think he shared that with me last night privately, but he had been talking to the two of you. And then he reached out on Twitter and said, hey, does anybody have any good ideas for a Wheel of Time podcast? And I started hitting him up with some ideas. And he said, okay, when are we going to record this thing? And I had not really intended for it to be that an introduction from me to him to record a podcast. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And it just like, boom, we clicked automatically and we were friends, I think, from the beginning. So that's the biggest impact it's made on my life. Also, that I have now a more creative outlet that I never had before. I started reading in October, I think, of this year.
Oh my God.
And I'm up through the Knife of Dreams. I'm like 60% through Knife of Dreams.
Is this your first read through then?
It's my first read through.
Nice.
Oh my
That's
God.
so cool.
And I've looked ahead to some stuff, and the major things are spoiled for me, but I don't really care. But I'm still discovering new things as I go along. Like I just read the passage where Tom shows Matt the letter that Moraine sent him and wrote to him, and I was like, oh shit, that's what happened.
Like,
You got a big storm
I would
coming.
I know.
I would like to talk about that when we have.
Go for it.
I don't want to interrupt you with what you're doing.
Okay,
Like,
I'll
let's
finish
back
and
around.
then I'll finish and then maybe we could talk about that first before we go to another question. Yeah, so I started reading it recently. I've been, the longest it's taken me to read any of the books is like 10 days.
Damn,
Um,
dude. Fuck yeah.
Some of it is
Yeah.
because I have been reading at work. Don't tell my boss.
Work is overrated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could stay with me. You're
And
good.
when you're on third shift, there's not much to do.
Yeah, I suppose things are probably a little slow, huh?
Yeah. My favorite book so far, I don't know because I haven't finished them all. My favorite scene, I guess, is that first chapter in The Eye of the World, where it kind of opens and you see just the two of them walking along the road, and just that sense of excitement and expectation that's built through that whole scene, for me, was probably the greatest. I mean,
Wow.
there's a lot of other great scenes, but that was, for me, that was it.
You know, I like that a lot. It's sort of it's such a mundane thing, but you know, you go into it thinking, all right, well, the author theoretically is not going to lay out this extremely mundane thing if something completely alien isn't going to happen that's going to start moving the story forward.
Right.
So, like, that is a really cool, really interesting take. I like that.
My favorite character, it changes as I'm reading, and like I said, I haven't finished reading everything, but I mean, I do like Avienda's probably my favorite female character. I know that
Yeah.
Andrew just said that, but we do agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But then there's times where I'm reading it and I'm like, "Ah, damn, she's dumb," and I wish a queen was my favorite character. You know, I'll switch it based on who I'm reading or what they're doing or who's doing something badass, or like all of a sudden Egwene just comes out and turns an entire chain into Crendular. Like,
Yeah.
boom, it's done.
Yeah.
The whole White Tower sealed off. I'm like, damn, she's strong. So
Just you wait, she discovers more things.
she's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Like Billy Mays, but wait, there's
But
more.
wait,
But
there's
wait,
more.
she discovers some pretty cool things, hidden talents. But that's all I'll say on that.
So I guess that's the end of that question for me.
Okay, so what were we going to talk about? The letter between Tom and Moraine? Is that what we?
Yeah,
did?
the letter that.
Okay. So we have like a million different times. Like, what the fuck? Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're going back through the reread, I'm looking really closely at different things that happen to see if I can like start pinpointing any kind of hint that Moraine and Tom had like a thing going. Because like that happened and I'm like, you made that up. You want to know what? You needed a reason to get them to the fucking tower again, G. You fucking made that up. But now as we're going through it, I'm kind of, there isn't a lot happening, but the thing that really stood out to me was right after, or no, it was as they were waiting to get on the ferry at Tarn Ferry. And Tom did that thing where he did like that flourish with his knives and then started like cleaning his fingernails or whatever. And Moraine laughed. I was like, okay, now I'm understanding that that is actually a little bit out of character for her. Mm-hmm. And she thinks he's funny. So like that was like the first clue. I haven't noticed anything since then, but yeah.
I'm taking notes.
So maybe he didn't make it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think they have that connection from Tom's time as the court bard Camelin. And by virtue of her last name, there's at least some familial relation to Galad, and thus some familial relation to the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than possible. I'd actually be shocked if they, someone came out and was like, no, that never happened. But that if they weren't, around each other then, if she didn't see him as a court bard and everything there. So I think there's even a point where she mentions that, or she kind of hints that she knows about why, Tom doesn't want to go back to Camelin.
Well, yeah, I heard he was exiled because of how he was with the queen and how he tried to interrupt Dice to Die business with his nephew Owen and stuff like that. But like, okay, is it just me or could Moraine do so much better? Could Moraine do so much better?
She probably could. I mean, she could probably have anybody she wanted.
I know, and I'm like, he's an old man, and you're ageless almost, MFer. He's gonna fucking die in like 10 years, and then what the hell are you gonna do? Like,
they're probably not too far from the same age. Because Moraine is what, like, okay, so she was 20-ish when she got raised to the shawl. That was 25 years ago. So Moraine is actually 45. Tom is probably closer. I'm going to say he's probably closer to 60.
Yeah, he reads really old.
That's a 15-year age difference. But once you get to that point, like, what fucking difference does it make? It doesn't.
And he's gone wider on his age gap before.
Yeah, he certainly has.
Or after.
Man.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you want to know what? Some of us are into silver foxes, so don't judge.
The silver fox.
Yeah, but marrying one though, I don't know. Sorry.
I'm married to one. Fuck.
He doesn't look it. He doesn't look it. I'll give him that.
Yeah, my husband is 8.5 years older than I am.
That's not that much. That's not that much.
Hell.
Okay. What's another question?
I don't know. You have one that you've been wanting to ask there, Aaron?
Great radio.
Yeah. Dead air, great radio. It's a good thing nobody pays us.
And nobody ever will. Womp womp.
Another kind of getting to know you question that came from Discord is from Smack 5075. He says, for the White Tower pod, what episodes are you most in? Okay, I'm gonna
I know the question.
Easy for you to say.
What episodes and chapter are you most looking forward to covering? I was reading it the way that they wrote it, and it was not readable.
Okay, so I'll answer this one, Jess, or you want to answer it first?
No, go ahead. I gotta think about it.
So in about 4 years from now, when Jess and I get to, because we're doing 2 chapters a week. Okay, so this is not going to be my favorite chapter. Okay, this is not, I think everyone's favorite chapter, maybe the last battle or something close to that. But the Tower of Genji was cool, where Moraine first appears back. Aaron, you're getting so many spoilers. I love you, but you're getting so many spoilers.
He's signed up for
not dead. She's not dead.
Yeah, I know. So, I knew what I was getting into.
So, like, that's my personal favorite. But for me and Jess's dynamic, Jess and I have a lot in common, but we also, what makes it great about our podcast is that she provides a completely different, like, area of expertise on one field, and then I have, like, the more, like, literary storytelling field, and Jess is more real-world application. So because of that, like, we kind of work in a different dynamic, and the chapter that I am looking forward to because of just the show juice, as Jess calls it, is going to be when Rand bonds all three of his wives. Jess and I discussed that chapter. It's not even my favorite chapter, but when we get to that room where they all like are having that like mind meld with Rand and all three girls, how Jess and I are half lit gonna approach that. It's gonna be
I don't even know why they fucking want to do that.
It's gonna be a good episode. So I'm gonna be ready for that.
Didn't they bond him?
Yeah, they bonded him, but I mean that's semantics. It's that.
So I'm gonna be really interested in the different angles that Jess and I take with the polyamory there, but so that's gonna probably be my favorite chapter to discuss.
Yeah, that one's gonna be lit
on the podcast.
Yeah, right.
But,
it's convoluted and there's so much going on. It'll be really interesting.
I want to take another shot on that. So Jess, turn.
Okay. You know, it's one of those things. The dragon can't be tamed by just one woman. Sometimes
That is true. I'm cool with but it's gonna be nuts.
I don't know. I feel like Rand would have been better served by one reasonably mature woman who could communicate with a good goddamn.
See,
than the
this
three
is
that
why
we
it's gonna be
have.
good.
But
We're proving
you know,
that
that's just my opinion.
And there's people speculating forward towards the upcoming show, saying that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna get rid of his whole love story and just have one person. But I don't think so.
No, well, like, why would
Rafe has
the
already stated that
relationship
they're
with
not.
the three of them is, well, you know what? It kind of is a big thing, but it's also not a big thing because he ends up spending all of his time with Min. So, like, okay, fine, you're sort of married, quote unquote, married to all of them, but like, how many times have you actually boned down with Elaine? You boned down with Elaine once and you knocked her up. You've boned down with Avienda like maybe twice, but Min is getting it daily and nightly and every so rightly, like fucking.
It's
like
those tight pants. It's the tight pants.
Fucking what is like not a fair sort of distribution. The sister wives need to get together and they need to figure out a schedule because it's not a healthy dynamic. But you know, whatever.
You know, it's not Min's fault that she invented the apple bottom jeans. So.
With the fur. I love that. All right.
Oh, that is hilarious. All right, so the chapter that we're most looking forward to recording. That's tough. That is tough. I think that I'm kind of looking for, this isn't like a specific chapter, but sort of like a concept. I'm looking forward to digging into Matt and Tuan.
Oh
yeah.
Because they're kind of fun. I ship Matt and Tuan hard.
Me too.
I think they're very well suited to one another ultimately. And like, yeah, I ship them. I ship them real good. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drink a shot as well. Bottoms up. Bitch.
All right. Boys.
Like how she did it, bitches.
The same user asked of us of the Black Tower, will you be doing episodes on specific characters at any time?
So we have done one. We did an episode specifically on Les Fauquer, Pat and Fane.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and we've talked about doing ones on other characters. We obviously want to. There's really not many characters that don't deserve, a focus on them. But yeah, I guess maybe like a good way to answer this would be like, is there a character that you're really looking forward to doing an episode on, Aaron?
I mean, I really want to dig into the backstory of some of the side characters. Devin Bashir. Some of the other.
Yeah, he's very.
What's the general's name that Suan ends up being with?
Gareth Bryan.
Gareth Bryan.
Yeah, Gareth Bryan. Some of those guys, and there's some good characters there, and digging into their backstories, I think, is gonna be a lot of good material.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Gareth Bryan. Military background attracts military background kind of thing.
I love him.
I love the generals and all.
You want to know what I gotta say?
Yeah, I got a crush.
Okay. Gareth Bryan can get it.
He can get it.
He can get it.
He can get
I love how nobody sees why Suan would be attracted to him. They're like, why would she be with him? We don't get it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, she needs a guy that's like completely stern and firm and is used to being around a woman and being with a woman in charge. Like he was with the queen, and now that prepared him for being with the next Emerald seat. Like
he doesn't.
Yeah.
Unlike Gawain, he doesn't have a problem being with a woman who is powerful or who has been powerful. I mean, an Aes Sedai in general is a powerful woman. This one used to be the Amerlin seat, and then she saw a bunch of shit. So, like, she is a woman who needs a very particular kind of man, and Gareth Bryan is that man. Not to mention the fact that, like, have you read the physical description of Gareth Bryan? He's hot as hell.
Yeah.
And sort of like his personality and shit, like, fuck yeah, Swan, fucking get it, girl.
And Swan plays both sides of the fence. We know this, but So because of how she feels with being stilled and then not being stilled anymore, and that kind of her being so low on the totem pole now that she's an Aes Sedai.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that like she was healed. The stilling was healed, but she had been one of the most powerful Aes Sedai, and now she is her power is very much reduced.
So that means that kind of cancels out her being with another Aes Sedai woman again, because Moiraine is now with Tom. So who does that leave? It leaves guys, and guess what? Gareth Byrne. I mean, Brian. I'm saying right. He's the best candidate because he has that strategic background, and he's not afraid to go toe to toe with her, but at the same time respect her individuality, give her all the space she needs. Yeah, I think it's a perfect power couple dynamic. I love it.
Not to mention the fact that he fucking worked for it.
Yeah,
right.
And for a long time he didn't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
But
he followed her across the world, guys.
But the whole time, like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. And I'm like, you're in love with her, you stupid fuck.
And he didn't know who she was from the beginning. That was the point in his favor on my side.
No, it was
he didn't know who she was.
Like, and I don't think it was just because she was pretty. You know, it's like when she got stilled, she and Leanne both sort of reverted back to the age that they were when they had first been raised to the Shal, and started, like, the aging basically stopped, and they just sort of like took on that ageless sort of appearance. And so once they were still, they weren't able to touch the power anymore. They sort of reverted back to that extremely youthful look, which I think that Swan was about the same age as Moiraine when she was raised to the Shah, about 20, 25. So she reverts back to that. But then there is this air of authority that, you know, it's like you don't just lose that, right? So she has this air of authority, this air of importance and power, in spite of the fact that she's been stilled, but she's really, really young, and she's very mature. And he's like, okay, I am hot for this, and I don't understand why, and I need to find her so that I can figure it out. Like, dude worked for it.
Right.
Like, and once he found out who she was, he didn't cut her any slack. He's like, no, we had a deal. This is the deal.
My shit.
You fucked up my shit, and now this is what's happening. Like, I think that he respected that.
There's a passage in the Knife of Dreams where she's pissed because he keeps insisting on polishing his own boots, and she wants to do it for him, and he keeps sneaking into the tent and polishing his own boots, and she removes the polish and dumps it on the floor, and then he has to do it again. And I was just like, damn, just bone already and get over it. I mean, honestly,
that's the weirdest fucking foreplay. Like, it works for them. Like, good for you guys.
Normal, like, people.
That's some weird fucking foreplay right there. That's true. They're not normal.
She's not exactly a normal person.
Yeah, that's true.
She's been through some shit.
Oh,
okay.
Man. I'll do a shot to that question.
Yeah. Good question. Well done.
That one burned a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to hell.
I've spent my life here.
Does somebody else want to come up with a question?
Nope.
Or is it just going to be me?
I'll ask one.
Somebody's got to be the MC, man.
Yeah. So this was a question asked in Discord by Lord Zupka. And he's talking about the beginning of the fourth book, the Shadow Rising, right? When there's the big attack on the Stone of Tyr, Rand's running around doing some amazing shit that even he's like, fuck, I don't know how I did that. And he comes across the body of a young girl who's been killed in the attack. And holding Kalendor, he tries to revive the girl, and Moiraine is freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
So what do we think about that scene? Because to me, it's an incredibly emotional scene.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of what Rand is trying to do, but there's obviously big implications back to Luz Theron being in his mind, and everything there as well. And it's a very graphic scene because they describe it as, you know, he's trying to force her chest to pump and everything like that, her heart to pump, and they describe blood gushing out of her wounds while he's doing that.
I feel like that was the only scene so far that I really connected with his state of mind, and I was like, yeah, we're together in this, and I felt for Rand in his current situation where he was.
I think that it really did a lot for me. I feel like I don't want to say that it humanized him necessarily, because I didn't feel like he wasn't human, but I think that it really opened up a window to the sort of feeling that he seemed to have, which is, okay, if I have to do this, if I'm being forced down this path, if I have to have these powers, if I have to have this guy in my head, can I not at least do this? Can I not do this one thing? Can I take this little child who died untimely? Can I not fix this one fucking thing? With all this bullshit, can I not do just this one thing? And just
Right.
sort of the sort of almost it sort of broke him.
And I think
You know,
right before
that it was like, I feel like it was a tipping point for him that like, okay, yeah, you know what? This is all that it is, and I just have to live with it. You know, I don't know. I just, yeah, I think it was a really good scene.
Yeah, and I mean he kind of continues that, and like I kind of follow you on the track of humanizing him, because it's like after this that we see Rand, doing the whole "I've got to be hard," kind of thing.
I don't know
weird.
that we heard about his list of dead women at all before this scene either.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
This
for
is
bringing
somebody
that
what
up.
starts after.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
mainly
Somebody would
with
have to
AI.
research that, but
That was going to be my point.
oh, sorry for stealing your thunder.
No, it's not a thing. No,
It's not
that's
thunder
I
stealing,
agree
it's
with
a segue, baby.
yeah.
Just shows
you're
that,
So
like,
good.
our
out in the
minds-
business.
Just shows the connection of thought.
Yeah, that's
But,
what I was going to say. It's like it starts the whole. Rand definitely views women's deaths versus men's deaths, as we see, completely different. And exactly.
I mean, that
Andrew.
could kind of be like the stereotypical kind of like mommy issue kind of thing, right? Because he finds out that the woman he knew as his mother, obviously, died whenever he was very young, and then he finds out, well, that actually wasn't his mom. His real mom, died as a Fardar's May, and he never got to meet her. And then, of course, there's the trauma that he obviously goes through at the end of the Eye of the World with Carrie Althor, or the illusion of Carrie Althor being tortured by Murdral. So, I mean, Rand's got a really big soft space for women, and he takes their death incredibly hard.
I
And
feel
I
like this ties into something that I kind of have an issue with the Two Rivers people in general.
Oh, God. There we go.
The folks from Emmons Field are actually really kind of fundamentally sexist. And I think that Rand's whole issue with killing women, even when he really fucking needs to kill them, like he couldn't bring himself to kill fucking Lanfear. Dude, you needed to finish her. You needed to fucking finish her. Why didn't you just fucking kill her?
Mortal
Just
Kombat.
fucking do
Finish
it.
her.
But he couldn't. Oh my God, she has a vagina, ergo I can't kill her. If he's got a dick, I'll kill him all day. But oh my God, she's got tits. I can't do it. Like it's this fundamentally, which sounds really, really weird. Like, don't be sexist about who you kill. Like it's weird, right? But this is where we are in the story. And the fact that he just like can't bring himself to hurt a woman, even when it really needs to happen for the preservation of himself or other people that he cares about, or just like the cause of rightness and justice and everything else. But he still can't do it. And it's like, okay, what the fuck, dude?
Well, I think
What's your problem?
It sounds messed up, but there is some sort of a value system that is skewed, that he's placing the lives of women as more valuable than the life of a man.
Which is
for him.
fundamentally sexist. I mean,
It is.
sexism goes
It
both
is.
ways, man. Like
And you can be sexist, like in this case, without having an ill intent towards someone else.
well,
like,
yeah.
in our society, sometimes we hear the word sexist and we think, oh, well, that means that person hates the other gender, and it's not always that.
Well, no,
And
that's misogyny, but
but it is always a
like,
bad thing.
yeah, and I mean, what it ultimately comes down to, I think, is really, it's ultimately sexist, but it's for Rand, it's an unconscious bias that he has, and it does not do him any favors whatsoever. And so the whole point of this entire diatribe is, I have got a serious problem with this list, this mantra of all the women who have died in his service. These women died in your service. A good many of them did on purpose. They knew what they were getting into. Like all the maidens, they're fucking maidens of the spear, my dude. They are a million times more badass than you are. Like, don't cry for them. They don't want that. Like, just because they have tits, all of a sudden it's a problem, but like every other male Aiel can just like fuck off a cliff and you're good. Like, come on.
But I think Aaron brought up a good point earlier, which I hadn't considered. I think it was you, Aaron, that said he has the lose therein kind of subliminally in his head and how he feels about killing Olenna and stuff like that. Like, maybe you see that not only as just Rand and his bullshit Two Rivers philosophy, but compounded on top of that, you have Luz Therin somewhere going about killing a woman or a woman dying because of you. Is Luz Therin maybe in there too? Like, I never considered that. So, Aaron, thank you for that.
That was Andrew, I think. That was Andrew, and I agree with it though.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
We're one team, one fight here.
My apologies.
You're good.
Sorry. But yeah, but I like that. Like, between the two of them, there's no way. Like, it's moving out of the way. So yeah. So what are you? So I think we covered that question.
Yeah, sorry, I really went off on that one. I mean, I'm not sorry. No, I'm not sorry that I went off, but I'm sorry that if I monopolized the conversation there for a little bit.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, you're good. Here's a fun one. So it's another question from the Discord, and this is from Haral Luan. It says, who would win in a dance-off? The Tinkers, the Saldeans, or the IO?
Aiel.
Yeah, they dance the spears, bro.
Yeah. I think it depends. Like, is your view like who's gonna like physically like murder on the dance floor? Then the IO. But as far as making men's collars steam, I think it's gonna be the Saldeans.
I want to say, okay, are we going for how long they can do it? Because Aiel will go into the night, the next night, and the next night. But
yeah, they're fucking party
stamina. They're
gotta be bonkers.
But I'm thinking the sexiest dance or the dance. Like, if I'm paying money, like if this is again, if I'm going to a club and I'm paying money to see a dance, what am I gonna throw down some dollars on? The Aiel's kicking around.
Are you putting your dollar bills in?
I'm not G-stringing an Aiel kicking up high above his head. Thank you. Next, Ariana Grande. I think I'm gonna go with the Saldeans all day.
And I want to see the Sasara.
I'm going to say Sasara. I'm going with Saldeans as far as pure sex appeal. Aiel have the endurance. Saldeans have sex appeal, and Tinkers, you're just in your own field, buddy. You're just weird. I love you, but yeah, no, it's Saldeans okay. First of all, if you had 3 doors and you had like $100 in your pocket, free to spend, and you could open up door number 1, Tinkers, door number 2, Aiel, or door number 3, Saldeans. I'm going in Saldeans dance all day long, buddy. Because I'm good. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
I think
it depends on what you're into.
Sexy.
Like, yeah, everybody wants something different, right?
You want to know what? Sexy is objective, isn't it?
That's right. For me, it's
is it objective? No, it's subjective. It's subjective.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna go with pure collar steaming hotness, and above, maybe getting stabbed with a spear by accident. Well, not accident, but or very colorful, multicolored clothes and everything. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
So if I recall correctly, and I'm looking in my book right now to see, I seem to remember. Why are you laughing at me?
Because I love the fact that you got the book and you're like so prepared. You're like the most prepared. Like I love you. Like I'm just swinging everything on the seat of my pants, and you got the book.
Oh fuck!
No,
Hold on.
shit.
Fuck!
Are you okay? No, this gonna have to be edited.
Damn it! Ugh.
Jess, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I reap what I sow.
What's wrong? Are you okay?
I stepped on a pin. My office is also my sewing room, and I stepped on a pin and it got stuck in my foot and it hurt real bad.
Oh, damn.
So sorry, I didn't mean to scream, but it hurt real bad.
I think we need to drink for that.
You shed blood for this podcast. We applaud you.
I may actually. Yep, bleeding. They got right up in there, like between my big toe and my second toe, like ow. Hurts real bad.
Girl, get a Band-Aid. You want us to wait while you get a Band-Aid?
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
Promise. I am totally... Believe me when I tell you this is not the first time that I've had a pin jammed in my foot, because I sew, ergo, there are fucking pins everywhere. But yeah, I am flattered that you think that I am so very well prepared. It's all an act. I'm not prepared for anything ever, but I seem to recall, I can't multitask. I have ADD. I seem to recall the description of the dance that the Tinkers were doing was very sort of sexy. It was very seductive. So
it was.
Perrin.
Yeah, Perrin was like all about that. He was, he was sprung. So I think honestly, girl, it just depends on the kind of thing you're into. Do you like women in tight leather pants, like fighting people, or do you like sexy ass women, probably with scarves? I assume that the Sasara involves scarves. Are you into that? Or are you into like earthy vegetarians sort of like doing their belly dancing thing? Like, you know
like
what I mean?
Burning Man?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Burning Man. Oh my God.
It depends on what you're
Burning
into.
Man comment.
And I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. Like you.
Girl, you are breaking up in my...
yeah, you're going all robotic.
Sorry.
Yes, because it's definitely your direct fault and not the internet.
Oh my God, Burning Man.
Now, every time I hear Burning Man, all I can think of is like the American Dad scene where Jeff's just like, Burning Man.
All I can think of is Reno 911 when they go undercover to the Burning Man thing, and then they get like lost out in the desert and they're all in their clothes. They get pulled over by cops and they are cops.
I love Reno 911.
I love that show
so much.
That show made me want to be a cop.
Oh my God.
Do I still sound like a robot, or am I good now?
No, you're good now.
You're good.
Okay, good.
So...
Yeah, Reno 911 is excellent television.
Fuck, I love you.
Yeah, it inspired me to be a police officer, which I'm not anymore.
Awesome.
That's what inspired you to be a police officer.
Hey, that's cool though. That's cool.
I love the like very tail end that kind of got covered up. He's like, that's what inspired me to be a police officer, which I'm not.
Which I'm not anymore. I mean, I was for a while.
Oh yeah.
But that's cool though. I think that's awesome.
You know what? I'm going to be real with you. That's the weirdest fucking reason to become a cop, like, ever. I respect it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's funny. No judgment.
Well, I mean, by the time I got into it, I knew exactly what I was getting into. I didn't make a decision just on that. That'd be ludicrous.
Shit, man. I didn't know the cops were here.
I really like that one cop in the really tight shorts. So I decided to become a cop.
Yeah.
I
love him.
Man.
What's that guy's name? Thomas what? Thomas
Lennon?
Lennon, yes.
Lennon.
Oh, God, funny.
Let's see, Aaron, you want to pull one from our list of Twitter questions? Because I think they've all been Discord up to this point.
From our list of Twitter questions, we have, here's one from Dennis Houston, who's also on our Discord. But
Dennis.
He says, curious on both towers' take on Ishmael. Is he trapped, or does he take up residence in the world of dreams like a, quote, hero of the horn, waiting to be spun out to provide balance?
So, an interesting thing that I found out on this is there's a YouTube channel, Civilization EX, and he's done. Sometimes you see it as like one full episode, sometimes it's a two-part, but on the world before the breaking. And he actually, I think it was him that was kind of talking about Ishmael throughout history, and it seems like that about every 1,000 years, Ishmael is able to walk the living world again for about 40 years, and then just disappears.
Okay, so I have seen that video. That is a great video. I recommend any of our listeners to watch it. Thank you for providing, because I didn't know who the person was that made it. So it's Civilization EX. Thank you for that. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking good. Like, it helped me, and I already read the goddamn books. Like, I don't remember shit.
Yeah.
So, like, I about a couple months ago, when I first started finding about Daniel Green too, I just went on a Wheel of Time YouTube binge, and they were one of the things that came up. And anyway, so to answer the question, Ishmael, is he bound like the horn? No, I don't think he's bound like the horn of Valir. He's not in Tel'aran'rhiod beforehand. He's not like Birgitte was and all that, like, and all the other hunters like Idle Kane and all that. Like, I don't. He's not in the horn, so I think we could say that. Like, he's not there fighting for whoever blows the horn.
Well, I don't
like that's not. Yeah, because the horn wasn't blown when he's there every 40 years or every 1,000 years, and he comes back. Like, the horn wasn't blown for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think that Dennis was saying that he is a hero of the horn. I think he was saying, is it a similar concept? Like, his ability to touch reality, is it a similar kind of thing?
And
Which,
perhaps
but I think
the way
right, I don't know if it is.
Oh, my bad.
Perhaps
I'm
the way
sorry.
of the
Sorry,
wheel,
Dennis.
No, it's cool.
creating balance, like a way for the wheel to create a balance to hiding all these heroes away for a later date. It also
No,
hid.
I think it was a no. I think it's because it goes back to what Civilization also said in the video, is the contract that was made when he came to the dark side. Because Ishmael was different for a number of reasons that Ishmael explained, or Civilization EX explained in the video. He went out in front of Lutheran publicly, in front of all the male and female Aes Sedai back in the Age of Legends, and he was the only one that came to the dark side public and says, "Hey guys, I know there's like a great moot going on, and we're all here, and I called you all here today to tell you I'm leaving the side of light and joining the shadow voluntarily, not because of power,
Fuck y'all.
not because I want something for myself. I'm the only person that just thinks based on logic. If the shadow even wins one time throughout all the wheels of time and all the ages coming and going, everything is blanketed in darkness forever. So out of a billion multiple possibilities of the shadow winning in each age, all it takes is just one for the shadow to win. We're all doomed. So I'm just going to go over to him because the odds are in the shadow's favor, like 1,000,000,000 to 1. Roll the dice. Like, fuck you. I'm going. So that was why. And because of his voluntary sign up, because of his just out public, like, fuck you, Lutheran, I'm the second in power behind you. Like, I'm your right hand asshole. Here I am. And your double fistula. Here I am. But at the same time, Jess knows what that's from. Thank you for my sister. So I'm going to go. You Jess. So glad you got that. So I'm going to go over here and, fuck off for a little while. I think that's what he got as part of his sign-on contract. Like, okay, dude.
That was a signing bonus.
Like, if I need you to go somewhere, you're just going to show up. So I think that was part and parcel to the I'm leaving the side of light to be the side of good in the way that I did. The public and the Dark Lord didn't need to seduce him with gifts, right? Or the promise of eternal life or this and that. He's like, I reject your gifts. I'm coming over to you voluntarily. So I think because there needs to be an agreement, there needs to be a contract, right? And what occurs in every contract? Both sides agree to something. Well, what does the great Lord of the Dark have to give for such voluntary service? The only thing they can provide is weaving Ishamael out of the pattern, saying, even though you're not named Bliss, you can have something that nobody else can have. Is just coming and going in and out whenever you please, because the contract has to be signed by both of us. It's not a one-sided thing. The only way for you to give me your soul and I accept it is a give and take, and this is it. So that's what I think happened at the time, because of the way that he went, and no other Forsaken or any other Dark Friend before or after him had done anything like that. He was an entity within himself, and because of the contract, that was his allowance. Because the Great Lord had to give something in return for that sacrifice. Just like the contracts of the Christianity thing with the devil. The devil gives you something to make a contract with the devil. But if he didn't want anything, the devil has to provide something of equal value. That's the only thing that he could give.
That's a really interesting take on it. And I have not seen the videos to which you are all referring. I always just sort of thought that, when they were all bound in the bore, he was just closer to the surface. So as the seal started to break, he was able to break free before everybody else.
Well, the thing is, go ahead, Aaron. I don't want to step on you.
I was just going to say, we know from the description and at the end of the Eye of the World with who's it, Anganar and Osanar or something like that.
Yeah, the Massel.
That they're the two. They're the two Forsaken that are bound closest to the surface, and they're
still touched by
the time, and they're old, and like their faces are melting and shit.
Come here, Sonny. Let me show you how to be the Dark One's friend.
Right. I just imagine that picture, that like animated old witch from the old Disney princess movies. It's like bent over and warty, and their faces like dripping off and shit.
Me on a good
day. I mean, because there's a thought that there's a thought that Ishmael actually wasn't really truly sealed, because he in body comes to Luz Theron while Luz Theron is mad before he commits the ultimate seppuku.
Yeah, seppuku. Yeah, Japanese reference. Yeah. Yeah. Heard that, bro. God.
Yeah. I mean, and there's evidence to support to him coming out, for about 40 years, because he was like one of the highest counselor to Arthur Hawkwing, and ultimately kind of led to that fall and everything. He's had a bunch of different names. It's about 40-year times that he comes in and like destabilizes human civilization, like during the Trolloc Wars and that kind of stuff. But he's definitely sealed, I think, to a degree, but it's a different kind of sealing. Like it just barely holds on to it.
Bound outside of the boundaries of time. I think that's his thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something kind of like Shadar Haran, where the longer he's away from Shao Ghul and the Dark One's prison, the weaker he gets, and just because of how strong he is, he can only last for about 40 years out of every 1,000 away from Shao Ghul.
It's a fucking cool question.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of get into that one as we got more into to questions about the books and things that are happening, and not just about what we think about characters and stuff. Yeah. He also asked a question that I think is somewhat related. He says, rereading the battle between Rand and Ishi, which I assume is Ishmael, is Carial Thor a dark friend at the end of the Eye of the World? And I for myself, I don't see it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, well, we know that Carial Thor is an illusion created by Alzamon,
right?
So with that iteration of Carial Thor being an illusion, I don't think we could say, I don't think Carial Thor is a dark friend at all. I mean, her husband fought with the armies of Ilion against the Trollocs, or against the IL, and everything, and he knows about Trollocs to a degree, and Murdraw, so he's obviously encountered and fought those as well. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, either. Cariel Thor, a dark friend. No.
It would be a nice
No.
bit of irony if she was, though. You know, that she helped raise the Dragon Reborn. But
No, I don't. For what point and purpose? Like, what did she do? Raise the boy Will for the small amount of time that she had, and adopt Dragon Reborn to do what?
yeah,
Feed and change him? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna go with a hard pass on that. It's a cool theory, but
Yeah, I just thought it was
does
a
it make
question that deserved an answer, even if it's a pretty short no.
yeah. Let's see. Another good question. So here's a good one. This is from Michael Daniels. This was asked on Facebook. It says, what character or characters would you like to see explored more in their own spin-off book? He answered that he'd like to see the adventures of Matt and Tuon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna think on that. I'll let you guys go first. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Shit. I think I'd like to see a more military-based battles and things leading up to almost like a prequel. The life of Davram Bashir or one of these generals that they keep talking about, but we really have no connection to their backstory other than they're from this place and these are the people they know.
Okay,
and especially he's on the border of the Blight. There's a lot of great things that could happen there.
Yeah, I know personally, I'd like to see a spinoff book on the Seanchan and Tremel King. You know, their homeworld. I think that would be dope. Because there's obviously a lot that happens over there. It obviously used to be a very important, aspect of the world. We know that Arthur Hawkwing, Jesus, sent, armies under the command of, I believe, his son, across the Aryth Ocean, and they never returned. And that we know from what we see of the Seanchan that they still claim lineage to the Pendrag, or however you say it, bloodline.
Pendrag. And they have respect for people in Randland, or the mainland, as I like to call it, who are descended from Arthur Hawkwing. Also, Berlane comes to mind.
Yeah, that.
I think I have an answer. I want to see a book of the Age of Legends, of all that the crazy shit that was going on, and all the show copters and all that stuff, and like all the crazy inventions and stuff. Or maybe when the Forsaken were still mortal beings before they turned to the dark, and their struggle and lose therein as the Dragon Reborn, like at the first before it became mad, and all the beautiful, wonderful things that they made, and all the gorgeous things and things you understood during the Age of Legends, and stuff that's been lost. That's such a Brown answer. I'm such a Brown. Look at me going back. I'm like, I want to know the historical context of the Age of Legends, and like what was going on back then, and the artifacts and the people and the history, and like look at my Brown coming out. I'm gonna put on the Age of Legends.
Whoa.
Good God.
What did you say earlier? You're like, let me look in the book. Let me look in this book.
I just like the phrasing. That's all the Brown coming out. I'm sorry, what?
Oh my God!
I'm sorry.
Oh my God! I'm gonna drink to that. Thank you, Andrew. Jess, it's your turn. What do you want to see? I want to see the Age of Legends.
You can always count on me being 5
Can you
years
repeat
old.
the question? I got distracted.
Yeah. Brown coming out.
So the question was, what character or characters would you like to see explored more in their own kind of spin-off book?
Oh shit.
Girl, where were you?
She was trying to patch up that bloody hole in her foot.
It definitely was not because the new chapter of Lore Olympus dropped. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not that at all.
Never.
For sure. I did not read the fuck out of that. No, that did not happen. Oh God.
I mean, you have like over 2,600 choices, so
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's like
Russian roulette.
normally stuff like this really springs to mind kind of right away, but I think that it would be interesting. And I mean, this is sort of character exploration, but what I would really like to see would be sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it, Land's or origin story. So, like, seeing Malkier before it was overrun by the Shadow.
Oh,
See
yeah.
what his parents were doing, or maybe his grandparents, like his forebears. See what
Yeah.
the kingdom was like. See what happened when Malkier fell. You know, Lan's childhood growing up, like that kind of thing. I think that that would be really, really interesting because Lan ultimately is, for all that he's this very quiet, stoic character, he's still pretty interesting.
Right. I was thinking about this question last night, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if instead of writing books to go along with them, if Amazon, in their course of releasing this as a series, would release, like, in between seasons coming out, would drop an original movie that dealt with something that's not covered in the books, like a movie about the golden age of Malker, or the Sean Chan backstory or something, and help tease into the next season.
like a Wheel of Time version of Wolverine Origins.
Right.
Yeah, I
Drop
like it.
something that's not necessarily from the books, but helps tease what's coming in the future, and also provides years ago backstory, which is kind of what he did with New Spring. If you think about it, in the middle of 2 books, he dropped a prequel from way back that helped set up what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another question?
They were probably getting close to wanting or needing to wind down. So
We can do one more.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'll do one more. This one is one that, and I know everybody's going to love this when I say it. It's been asked by at least 2 or 3 people. Demise Wells.
What about it?
Everything about it. There's not a specific question. It's mainly just a couple people said they want to hear. They want us to talk about Demise Wells.
So here's the thing. I think I've read this the freshest of any of all of us because
I think that's accurate.
I've read this chapter. I think I tweeted about it just 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So before 4 or 5 days ago, an actual like sit down, fucking reread the chapter. I hadn't read that chapter for 10 years, like I said at the beginning of this podcast. It's been 10 years since I read Demise Wells. Yes, I had talked about it. Yes, I had read things about it. Yes, I tweeted about it before. Not like actually fucking read it. So Demise Wells is actually extremely fresh in my mind right now. So because of that, the actual material, I'll take a crack at it. I don't know what the internet necessarily wants to know because Demise Wells is fucking crazy for both of us. But here's my takeaways from the reread of it from the first time. I didn't realize that Gawain was so much a part of the beginning of it. Like, I don't remember that. Like, nobody remembers fucking Gawain's beginning of him riding up and trying to tell the eyes to die. Maybe you should, like, turn back, and thinking about Egwene's letter that's almost disintegrated in his pocket. Like, all this bullshit. Like, you don't, like, there's actually quite a bit of that in the beginning of the chapter. It's like, the chapter of what the fuck happens afterwards is so nuts. You don't remember like a third of it is that bullshit. But anyway, I really enjoy, and it's really cool, like how the wolves. I think because it's the only time. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong again, because my first original read was 10 years before. But other than Demise Wells, it was the first time that wolves laid in wait, hiding, and like beforehand at a specific point, like not running to come and enter the fray of war because it was their first time in a war as well. But they actually they were hiding, they'd been hiding for X amount of time, who knows how long, underneath the grass before Perrin and all them ran up on them, and they jumped up and joined the fray from behind, which was like a fucking cool move of subterfuge that the wolves did, which was cool. Another thing that I didn't really understand is it was the first time the Ashaman, this is your moment to shine, Black Tower Ashaman.
Yeah.
Really fucking showed the power, because before then, like, you had been to the little goddamn farm, outside of, I think it was Camelin, and they're all like training and shit, and these old guys and young guys, and he's like, Tame, train all these assholes.
And they've
And
got
it was
their
like
kids and their wives
those
and shit with
kids
them.
and their wives and horse shit. But then you realize, actually, not only the Ashaman lock down the Aes Sedai and get them to kneel, and the coolest fucking war phrases are said in this chapter, but I mean, Rand is just like so ratted and just like haggard from being in that box. A lot of it was also just, and I didn't realize, I thought he was in the box for a longer amount of time. He'd only been in the box for like a week, but the way that I remember reading it the first time, he was in that shit for like a month. But like, it was a very short amount of time when he got imprisoned and held in that shit.
Oh yeah.
Until he escaped. But to me, just the agony of it was like fucking forever. And because he couldn't do anything, he's like, he just instructs Tame. He's like, just take care of it. And Tame puts his balls on the table. He's like, okay, this is what I'm going to show you. So not only is he showing his prowess to the Aes Sedai and to Rand, who's entrusted him up to this point with doing whatever the fuck he needed to do at that bullshit training farm, he's showing the Shido, he's showing the world what Ashaman can do. And he's like, mount up, fuckers. And they all get in line. And he's like, Ashaman. And like, it's like, up, 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 up. And then, like, they all like form up. And like, they the coolest picturesque, like, I hope that they do, if they ever get to this point in the TV series, is for me in the battlefield, when they create that little bubble of aura around the battle, right? So the Aes Sedai, like, lightning strikes and shit, and the Shido can't hurt them anymore. That encircles the wagon.
Oh yeah, the dome
Ashaman,
of air.
yes, the dome of air, and the Ashaman through the vent in the hole where all the smoke from the fires are billowing through lightning and the rent in the clouds, one single beam of light, and all the just this cacophony of what's going on. The dragon banner raises out slowly, suspended through midair, and nothing of this hole in the dome. And then before the Ashaman start absolutely killing everything, there's the dragon, and there's this moment of like a heartbeat of time where the dragon banner just slowly lifts and raises through the dome, and you see it. And then all of a sudden, Rand's like, do what you need to do, my friend. And Tame's like, Ashaman, kill! And then all of a sudden, and the way that Jordan literally wrote meat grinder is how it's just one wave, bam, everything hitting them, bam, middle, and then second, boom. He's like the Shido at Eel didn't even know it was coming. It was one, it was a blast. First hit, second blast, third blast. And the bodies were piling up so high, they were literally getting up almost over the cone of that dome of air where they were kept safe. Like, the bodies were stacked so high, the Shido that were coming from behind couldn't even begin to form through a rank of the walls of meat and eyes that were littering the fucking ring of dome of air. And it was blam, blam, blam. And I think after a moment, Perrin was standing next to Rand, seeing his best friend from Emmons Field, encouraging and just agreeing with his behavior. And he's like, Rand, stop. Rand, stop. And Rand's like, no, they need to learn. They need to know. And they just fucking just shattered through waves of meat grinding bodies. So they packed up, and like, that's why the Shido turned and ran, because they couldn't even They couldn't even see Rand. They couldn't even see the wagons. The bodies were piled so high, they went over the top of the wagons.
Well,
From
and
like,
the only thing that I can think about Demise Wells is like when we get to that point in the show, I'm not going to be able to watch it. I can't do that.
So
I cannot, like, it was hard for me to read that level of gore. I can't see it. I can't watch it. I can't.
So just to put this in perspective, I've got a list up here of the numbers of forces that were there. So Rand's kidnappers, there were 39 Tower Aes Sedai, led by Galena Caspon, and there was 582 younglings, led by Gawain. Then for Rand's rescuers, there was about 1,000 wolves, 300 Two Rivers men, 500 Carinian, 200 winged guards from Mayan, 200 Ashaman, 9 Saladar Aes Sedai, 94 Aiel Wise Ones, and approximately 6,000 Aiel. And of course, Lowell was there, or Loyal. Yeah.
Mhm.
They were all fighting approximately 40,000 Aiel warriors and another 300 Wise Ones that could channel. 40,000. And the Ashman showed up and they couldn't even get close to the wagon. I mean, that's just mind blowing. 200 men were just
Ashaman.
destroying and wrecking 40,000 of some of the fiercest warriors this world knows.
Well, before that, you learned the Ashaman were stronger in the power than Aes Sedai, but I mean, you don't even realize how strong they were until they just ripped through a battlefield of other people. And then, I mean, obviously at the end, when Tame is shielding the Aes Sedai that survives, like, kneel or you will be knelt. Like, it's like, ah! Like,
Karma's a bitch.
They're not even fucking trying. They're not even trying, dude. It's like the Ashaman are looking everywhere else around them, and at the same time, bullshit in the back end, shielding all these Aes Sedai who were kneeling on the ground, trying with all their might against these like some half trained. They're not even raised all the way to dedicated. And they're just like, fuck! Like, you know what I mean? Just holding them, and it's like, oh my god, dude. What the fuck? Boys and old men. That's what Jordan put across to you. They were trained in a farm. They were young boys and old men. Most of them that had no. I mean, these were Tower trained women that had lived there like 40 or 50 years in these harsh upbringings, and these kids that were just like 3 months ago bullshitting, like mucking shit on a farm 3 months ago could just come up and be like, I'm shielding you. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is part of it that the Aes Sedai, especially the Tower trained Aes Sedai versus the Aiel Wise Ones who could channel, completely discount the fact over and over that there can be that many men in the whole world who can channel, let alone would want to. They're like, oh, there must be like 2 or 3 people at this Black Tower thing, or there can't be more than a handful of men following Rand who can channel, and 100 of them show up, and they're just completely discounted and written off as not even being able to exist, and they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that. I just think they shuddered at the idea of loose men, like not caught, not tamed, not like just loose men being able to channel. They just, their mind couldn't conceive the idea of it, whether it was 3,000 or 5,000. They just blocked them out. And I think Jordan was trying to make a point where you can't discount any opposition or enemy. Like, no matter how much you think there should be discredited, or, oh, these are these old men or young boys, or, Aes Sedai have gentled them for so long. Like, what are they going to do? Like, they don't, what the fuck? They have no real training. Like, it just goes to show you that sometimes,
and
you
not
don't
to discount
expect.
not to discount people based on gender. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, in the Wheel of Time, we say on a basic level, he's flipped all the gender roles around. So is the real message here that men who are in power shouldn't discount women just because they're women? Is that
Yeah.
what his real message is?
I think instead of it just being like anyone, I think it's just generic. Don't discount anyone. You know, we've kind of talked about this in our first real episode, about, you know, on sexism or gender roles or whatever you want to call it, gender relations in the Wheel of Time, is that I think the overarching message is, okay, this group can do some cool shit by themselves, and this group can do some cool shit by themselves. Like, but you know, it was legendary whenever you fuckers actually work together, and that's what the fuck you need to do, because you're gonna do some dope shit. And we see it. Like, it takes a man and a woman to cleanse the taint on Sidon. Neither one could have done it on their own.
You said
Yes,
taint.
I did. Yeah,
Drink for the taint.
Oh god, that sounds horrible.
To
To
the
the
taint.
taint.
Bitch, I'm at 6 shots. I can't do the rest of this at the fucking level. I'm good. I drank enough. I'll go ahead. I'm
But
Well,
I
and
think
I
we're close
apologize.
to
And I
being
do not
done.
have a lot more to contribute to this.
Yeah, I
but
think there was
I
one more
don't.
thing I wanted to talk about with this episode, or not this episode, but this
Get
section.
it.
The Rand that steps out of his prison is a far cry from the Rand that goes into it. And for me, this is the absolute undeniable point where we see who the fandom is kind of coined as Darth Rand emerge. Because he steps out, he's pissed, he's been cramped up, you know, he's got cramps going on. I'm sure you ladies know cramps are the worst thing in the world. He's all cramped
They
up.
suck.
And something that to this point has been completely uncharacteristic of Rand to just say, kill everything. And he looks at Mazrim and he's like, yeah, fuck them, kill them all.
I mean, I feel like if he hadn't been stuffed in a box for many days, this whole thing would have played out completely differently.
And then
But as
fought
it
out every
was,
day to get
he was
beaten.
stuffed in a fucking box for many, many days. When he came out of the box, he got his ass beat. And so all he had was getting his ass beat and some fucking guy talking in his head. Like, yeah, you done fucked up, y'all.
Right. And when he was in the box, right, he's folded in half, so his head is between his
Yup.
knees.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to treat people. And honestly, like, yeah, I feel like the entire thing would have played out very, very differently if they had not.
You know what
tortured him.
Demise Wells it really is? It's one big fucking lesson in karma. If you're a royal shit to
I
other
mean,
people,
yeah.
it's going to come back and
You
get you.
reap what you
Yeah.
sow, right?
Well, I have no sympathy for the Shido.
You know,
And at this point, I hate the portion of the tower that still resides in the White Tower.
Yeah. I think
well,
they're
because
Well,
there's
yeah.
shitheads, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they support the bullshit, and I agree with you. That portion of the tower
You can just fuck right off.
They can go
yeah.
fuck themselves.
healed.
Yeah, they can fuck right
Yeah.
off a cliff. Preach it.
Agreed.
Man.
Man, that got serious. Demise Wells is
Yeah.
serious. There just ain't no way to make that funny.
It might as well. At this point in the story, you're thinking like, oh, right, I've only 6 books in. What the fuck? There's 14.
No, it
asshole.
got fucking real.
No.
Yeah,
Like,
it's dark.
It's like you don't have a battle like that on
It's like
that.
Robert Jordan was like, you fuckers want action? All right, here's some action. And then you're done. You're like, oh, God.
That.
And then everybody's like, no, that's not what I wanted.
Too much. And
Why
he's just
did
sitting there
you do
ramming it
this?
down your throat. You can take more.
It's
Meat
carnage.
grinder, meat
And you're like,
grinder.
no.
Yeah, the meat grinder thing. I mean, you're blowing up people in a wave. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
And to
and
do the whole
boom.
thing
It's
as
like, oh fuck.
I mean, think about it.
10
The IL can't
that-
even, they don't even know where
talk
it's
about-
coming from, right? They just see all these guys in black cloaks
Right.
standing there. And as people come forward, it's just boom, boom, boom. And they're just like, could you imagine if you're just standing there and everybody around you's blowing up and you have no idea why?
There's a tower. There's a wall of dead bodies, and they talk about afterwards when you begin the 7th book that I started reading. I think I'm like chapter 6 in my reread now. I mean, they dedicate like almost the full introduction in the first full chapter, which is like 100 pages long, of the aftermath of the carnage afterwards. I mean, it's just like, I mean, they talk about all the different graves of all just the crows, the vultures, and just gorging on just for miles and miles the stench and decay afterwards. And it takes days and weeks of trying to sort through the dead for them to even move on. Like, it's just, I mean, yeah. What do you want to say to that?
Fucking hardcore, bro.
Insane.
I think it's
It's hardcore.
I think it was interesting that he chose this as like the coming out party for the Black Tower, and it's what forms the opinion of them, or reinforces the opinion of men who can channel for the remnant that's at the White Tower, in some part for the White Tower that's in exile, and for Aes Sedai who are scattered everywhere, is that men who can channel are bad. And they're going to kill people, and they're going to do crazy shit, and they should not be trusted. And it kind of reinforces and informs their opinions.
Shit. That's kind of a negative bit. Wow, we got sober real quick. Didn't you boys
Did we
know?
even take a single drink? I mean,
Oh,
that's some heavy
God.
shit, you know. Aaron over here dropping heavy loads.
Heavy,
I'm gonna get a little shot on that one.
bomb. Ah,
It's like, well,
you
well,
really
they all
loud
kind of
that.
hate us now. Shit.
Ah. Anyway,
Something less heavy to talk about. I don't know. I mean, it could be crazy. It could be not.
Yeah,
but,
let's lighten this shit up.
uh,
wow.
Renegade, who's at Midnight Rider, wants to know what our thoughts are on Moraine passing the bond before she disappears. And I don't know. I feel like it's cartoony. It's like hijinks, and I don't know. It's like hot potato with Lan's bond. Like,
I have thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I know you do.
Well,
Aaron.
good thing we have ears to listen.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh god.
And Jen and I were talking about this, I think, the other day. So
Yes, ma'am.
we know that Moraine and Nynaeve, they have issues. A number of different issues. I think Moraine ultimately would probably be cool with Nynaeve if Nynaeve wasn't such a fucking just like shithead so much of the time. But Nynaeve has got some serious problems with Moraine because Moraine is bonded to Lan. Nynaeve wants to fucking bone down with Lan. And that's a problem because ultimately the dude that she wants is committed in a very real and like physical, not sexual, but physical way to this other woman. That's a problem for her. Understandable. Now, Moraine and Lan, as we have talked about previously, they're not a thing. Moraine and Lan do not bone down. They do not have that kind of relationship. Some women have that kind of relationship with their warders. Moraine and Lan do not have that kind of relationship. Nynaeve does not necessarily know that. However, Lan is bound to another Aes Sedai. That makes it very difficult for Nynaeve as an Aes Sedai or future Aes Sedai to sort of like get that whole situation going. So the point being, Moraine has been with Lan for 25 years. They're extremely, extremely close. He has saved her life many times. She has probably saved his life many times. You get a bond going, right? So Moraine, knowing that something is going to happen to her because she's seen it, right, is like, okay, so I know what happens to warders when they lose their Aes Sedai. They basically go nuts and they want to avenge their Aes Sedai, which is fine as far as it goes. However, I know what's going to happen to me, and there isn't any way that he can avenge me, which means that he's just going to sort of be out there without any kind of purpose whatsoever. So what I can do is I can try and save him because I know that he loves Nynaeve. So I'm going to try to save him. And so what she does, and she doesn't ask him, this is wrong. She should have asked him. She should have talked to him ahead of time, but she knew that if she had, he probably would have been like, nah. So without his knowledge or his consent, she makes arrangements so that his bond is passed to Morel. Why Morel? Because Morel is a green, Morel has a history of saving warders who have lost their Aes Sedai. She's helped them. She's sort of fixed them. She has made it so that the madness that overcomes a warder after they've lost their Aes Sedai, she helps them through that so that they don't have to die.
With what some might call sexual healing.
I mean, she fucking bones down with him, which, like, you know what? Sex can do a
when
lot
you
of
get
things.
that feeling,
This is apparently
you need sexual healing.
That's apparently one of the things that sex can do in this world. So she makes arrangements for the bond to be passed over to Morel so that Morel can sort of like rehabilitate him, right? I firmly believe that the reason that she did that was because she knew that Lan loved Nynaeve. She wasn't going to give up the bond. Although if they'd asked, maybe she would have. They didn't. Like, Nynaeve was not about to ask. Lan wasn't going to ask because they're fucking idiots. I think if they'd asked her, been like, hey, we're in love and shit. Can you please release Lan so that we can be together? She probably would have been like, yeah, cool. But they didn't ask. So she did the next best thing.
At that point, they were trying to find reasons not to be together.
Well, yeah, because they're fucking idiots. Like, oh, it's impossible. You know what? You're dumbasses. Yes, with that attitude, it absolutely is impossible.
Life finds a way.
So, life finds a way. Okay, you know what? Sidebar, vis-a-vis Jeff Goldblum. I saw Jurassic Park in the theater when I was 12. And Jeff Goldblum made me feel some kind of way. Jeff Goldblum in the back of that fucking Jeep without a shirt on was an awakening for 12-year-old Jesse. I can tell you that right now.
Jeff Goldblum standing next to a mountain of shit.
Well, I mean,
I'll give you that one.
The Jeff Goldblum.
I'll give you that one. It's just like, okay,
anyway,
dude, I see what you got. All right.
I see you. So
I see you.
So she passes the bond to Morel instead of Nynaeve because she knows that when this happens, Nynaeve will not have been raised to the Shawl yet, which means that she's not ready for it. And, you know, like, Moiraine's doing her a favor, but she's not going to do her that much of a favor. So she passes the bond to Morel. And I think the other piece of that puzzle, too, is that she knows that Morel knows what to do vis-a-vis rehabilitating these bereaved warders. Nynaeve doesn't know what to do for that. Because with all of her other healing experience and all the rest of her knowledge, this is a wound that she doesn't know anything about. And ultimately, it could very much end up with both of them being hurt. So I think that the point of this whole thing is I think that Moiraine was actually captaining the ship of Lan and Nynaeve. She was the fucking captain of that ship. And the reason that she did all of this was because she knew that she was going to fucking go down, and she wanted to make it so that Lan and Nynaeve could be together. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Because why else? Jen.
Is she going Super Saiyan
why
over
else
there?
would she have done it?
I think Jen is going Super Saiyan too.
I think she did. Her hair like caught on fire. Why else would she have done it? Why else would she have done it?
Uh-oh.
This is the life cycle of a warder. Their Aes Sedai dies, they go nuts, and they get killed. Why would she have done it if it wasn't because she was captaining the ship? Why?
It's because she didn't want, when she even said to him, she didn't want him to go off into fucking Malkier, into the Blight. Not because she cared about him and Nynaeve being together. It's because she was like, listen, I know that the only thing you're going to do, okay, when I die, you're going to want to commit suicide or fucking die, right? And also, your whole fucking bullshit is that you got to go back into Malkier and try to face the Blight alone because.
But that's his fucking destiny. Why would she
your destiny? So you're gonna do that. But I don't want you to do that. Not anything to do with Nynaeve.
She's fucking dead. Why does she care?
Because I think she just cares about Lan as a person.
She cares about Lan. She knows that Lan loves Nynaeve, and she's like, okay, if I'm gonna fucking die, I'm going to make it so that at least this dude who chilled with me for 25 years and fucking protected my ass and saved my ass can be fucking happy. I know that you don't buy it, Jen. I know that you don't.
I love you.
I love you. I love you so much, but I will fight you in a fucking parking lot over this with knives.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
Is this the White Tower divided?
Oh,
is that what
shit.
this is?
No, just
No, never divided.
No,
Never.
I love you too much.
Too much.
But
But
you don't have to see eye to eye. That's what makes this. I agree. I think she would.
This is what happens when two best friends who are drunk disagree.
No, I think she wants to keep him out of the blight. So I agree with you on one thing. She bonded him to Morel specifically is because I agree with you. Morel was good with orders and taking them in, healing them. So she just wanted to keep him from a suicide mission into a bunch of frolics.
But she told
bonded
Morel specifically that when Nynaeve is ready, you need to pass the bond over to her. She specified it. It's not like she told Morel, hey, I'm going to fucking die, so you're going to get land after I fucking corked it. Like, she specifically said, when Nynaeve is ready, you pass the bond over to her. She stipulated.
Yeah, but Morel is the only person in charge of being ready. And you know how Morel is. She's green.
That's a whole...
No
that's
offense, she's jealous with her warders. What is that going to be like? 70 years? No,
that's a whole other thing. That's a whole thing. But like, that's Morel's problem. But Moraine, that's fucking Morel's problem. Moraine made the arrangements to the one who's like famous for fucking her warders sane again. And
hey, that's a gift, my friend.
Let me tell you, I think we all aspire to that level of skill.
Aspire.
Yeah.
All right, boys, what do you guys think? Jess and I made our opinions on that note.
We just shouted about it a lot.
You know, it's a good question when it makes you go Super Saiyan.
Dragon Ball Z, I love the reference. Go ahead.
So I kind of agree. Like, I have a really big problem with bonds being made or transferred or fucked with in any way without the consent of everybody involved in the bond. Because I mean, think about it. Through the bond, you have access to not only just the person's at least generic location, like a directional. You can feel their feels, everything. Like, you know, it's a whole new meaning to "I feel you, bro." Like, you legitimately do. You know, and we see this in like a bit of a comical way with Rand and the three dragon wives. Because you know, there's points where he's boning down one
dragon wives.
That's great.
And you know, he's boning one down, and the other two are just like all blushing, and it's like they can almost feel it. And I'm like, you know, part of that sounds kind of cool, but from their point of view, it's just like, I mean, think about it. That's gonna be better than like VR porn. I mean,
Oh my god!
but
You gotta get drunk. You gotta not think about it.
But I mean, it's just an intense, like, connection to someone's, what makes them beyond. You can't get that connection from anything else. And if it wasn't that they agreed to be bonded, you know, it's an extreme invasion of privacy. Because Lan, as stoic as he is and as, you know, hard faced as he is, Moraine always knows if the guy's nervous, if he's angry, if he's sad, you know, whatever's going on.
If he's fucking sprung.
Oh, yeah. You know, that first cold night, first cold night they had to curl up by the campfire. She didn't need to feel, you know, the last sword of Malkir to know that it was battle ready. All right.
How long have you been waiting?
I literally just thought of it. But...
Oh my god, that was my dude. That was fucking.
I love that
poetry. I moved my soul. My crops are flourishing. That was beautiful.
That was.
But yeah, I mean, it's so invasive and offensive, and I would put it on par, or not on par, but kind of just under how wrong, in terms of how wrong something is. If you want to put it on a scale, I think it's either on par or just under with how wrong like rape is, because you're literally forcibly bonding or transferring a bond without the knowledge of the person who is bonded is tantamount to rape, because what you have done is you have compromised their autonomy, and in some way bonding someone. And so
we're going to get serious here for just a second. This is coming as a person who has, in fact, been sexually assaulted. And I will say that being bonded against your will or having your bond transferred against your will is in some way maybe it's a little bit worse, because it isn't just something that has happened in that moment and then you're sort of dealing with the aftermath and the things that are happening in your head and all of the sort of, stuff that comes after. It's a constant thing that person is. It isn't just the person is in your head, like you're thinking about them or thinking about what happened, but they're literally a presence in the back of your brain, and you can feel all the things that they're feeling, and you know what's happening, and you know exactly where they are, and they're there all the time in a much more kind of real and kind of tangible way than the way someone who has attacked you is. There are parallels, I think, but I feel like with the bond, it's so much more present, real all the time. You're sort of drawn to this person because that's the nature of the bond, right? Is that you know where they are and you're kind of compelled to go to them. In a way, it almost seems like it's worse.
Yeah, I see that because it's
like,
ongoing.
It's a terrible thing to
do
ongoing.
To somebody. It's 24/7. There is no escape from it. Yeah.
You can't. It's not something that you can go to therapy for and work through it. It's a living kind of thing that's happening in your body all the time, and it's just it's a terrible thing to do to somebody. I am. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that whole.
What about the bonding that happens between Elaine and Brigitta? Then is that problematic?
I think that it is.
Little.
Yeah, it is problematic because the thing is that when you're looking at something like that, any kind of situation where you're dealing with that kind of a concept, intent is ultimately meaningless.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the doing the worst thing for the best reasons kind of thing.
Yeah, and ultimately, yes, okay, Elaine did it so that she could save Brigitta's life, but Brigitta was not in a position where she could make that choice for herself. The choice was made for her, and maybe she wouldn't have chosen it. It's sort of like when you're blackout drunk.
I don't want to talk about that.
You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you are theoretically agreeing to or not agreeing to. And, does that make it okay for someone to do something to you when you don't have any memory of what happened leading up to it? No, that doesn't make it okay. It's a problem. It's problematic. So Elaine's bond with Brigitta also not great.
Yeah. So what you got, Aaron?
I feel like we've said a lot, and I agree with a lot of it. I do feel like it, in the context of the writing of the books, it provided some comic relief to where it's kind of being passed around, and then there's some judgments coming from the other ladies about, oh my God, I can't believe Moraine passed the bond to you so that you could bone down with Lan when she knows that Lan and Nynaeve
you can't just pimp out your orders here.
It's not right.
I think it's rough for me because I feel the issues with it, but I also feel the comic relief and the necessity to the script that he wrote into it. So I don't know. I'm conflicted. I'm super conflicted about that. I just want to say we've been at this almost 2 hours now. I want to close it up here, but I think everybody go around and in 1 or 2 sentences say, this is the end of the year. What are you looking forward to next year in your podcast? What's coming up? What are you excited about? Let's close it out happy.
I'll go with I'm excited about Jordan Con, meeting a lot of people, Jordan Con, and also a couple of other of podcast guest appearances. So yeah, absolutely. You can follow Jess or I at White Tower Pod, and we're on social media. Black Tower Podcast is our brother podcast, and obviously we're here with them. They're our first guest appearance show, as it should be. And yeah, I'm really happy about everything that Wheel of Time is going to continue to crank forward with the TV show coming out as well, and all the things that we're going to be getting through the pipeline for 2019. So yeah, you guys can come out to JordanCon in Atlanta and see me in person in a few months. So that's also
I'll
a
be
thing.
there.
All right, go ahead. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's next? Me? I'll go.
Yep.
I am looking forward to the show, obviously. I'm looking forward to JordanCon for sure. It's going to be my birthday. Y'all come with us. We're going to rage. Y'all can buy me birthday shots. And I mean, I'm just excited for, all the new things that our podcasts are going to bring for us. We've met so many amazing people and had so many cool opportunities, and I think that's just going to continue, and I'm here for it.
Awesome. Andrew?
Yeah,
what's
sure, I'll
up?
go. So yeah, like Jen and Jess have said, I'm stoked for JordanCon coming up. I'm stoked for the series. I know we've got some more guests / collabs / whatever you want to call it in the works, and obviously going to be trying to do more and plan more. I'm just really excited to see how it goes. I'm kind of let the pattern take me where it takes us. The wheel weaves, my bro.
The wheel
There you
weaves,
go.
my dude.
Wheel waves. Like Andrew said, I'm excited. We've got some guests coming up in the beginning of the next year. I'm not going to say who they are until we have them actually scheduled for a recording. But that's coming up. That's exciting. And I'm excited to finish this series off reading wise, so I can I'm either going to start right over again, or I'm going to read some of Brandon Sanderson's other stuff, the Cosmere, some of his Skyward stuff, I think.
So yeah, I want to take this time to just say thanks to everybody that showed up for as far as getting us some questions. We've got Michael Daniels on Facebook, Dennis Houston on Twitter as Father of One, Renegade as @MidnightRider, Bookworm as I'm not going to try to say the Twitter handle because we all know I can't.
Go ahead and butcher it.
Says
Do
you
it.
won me. That's probably so bad.
I believe it's one of our international listeners.
SEJIWEUNMI.
I love those international listeners.
We've got Lord Zupka from Discord, Drew from Discord, Rob Christensen from Discord, Smack 5075 from Discord, and Haral Luan from Discord. I think, and then of course Dragon Reborn 1689, which we know is Greg.
Greg, what's up?
What up, Greg?
Who the fuck is Greg?
I know, right? Love you, Greg.
I'm sorry, Greg. I love you.
And then from
very
Discord, we
much.
also got
Who the fuck are you?
TG. We also
Who the
got
fuck are
TG
you?
Samurai.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I know.
Great people, and we really appreciate all the questions. Obviously, it's provided a lot for us to talk about, and hopefully we were able to answer some things that you guys really wanted to hear us talk about.
Yeah, and if we did not get to your questions, because I know we didn't cover everybody's questions, and people who we did cover, we did not get your whole question in. We just clearly we did not have enough time to cover all the questions that we got, so we had to kind of pick and choose, and we do apologize for not getting everybody's question.
Yeah, I tried to put some disclaimers in Discord, like we're not going to get to everybody, so you don't get but at the same time, I thank you for that because it's true. We weren't, but I mean, it was good. It was good fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for being on. It really
thank
meant a
you so
lot to
much.
us. Does this make you guys feel like you're official now that you've been guests on somebody else's podcast?
It feels very official.
A little bit, and I hope you guys will be a guest on our podcast.
Oh yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, we would love
We can
to.
do the rest of the questions in the next one.
We'll save the
We'll
document.
host
We'll
a
save it.
party.
I think
We'll
we'll,
have
we'll
fun.
maybe mark what we already answered and save it for later.
Yeah, good questions all. So, all right, I think that about wraps it up. I love you guys. I love you, Jess.
Love you, Jen.
Love you, boys. We love you.
Love you,
We love the
boys.
Black Tower.
Well,
Oh
we
yeah,
love
we
you,
definitely
ladies.
love you too as well.
Love you, Andrew. Oh,
Oh, that makes me happy.
yay.
Thanks for being
Yay,
here,
we're
and
friends.
friends.
Yay.
We want everybody to have a happy new year, and we hope you have a good holiday season.
Yes.
Yeah, happy
Very
So
New
much.
Year,
for those of
everyone.
us here, yeah.
Happy
So for those of us
2019.
here at the Black Tower, this has been Andrew.
And I'm Aaron.
And I'm Jess.
From the White
Jen.
Tower, of course. And I hope you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, peace out,
Absolutely.
bitch.
Bye.
Bye.